Interesting.
So this is going to be the last video I ever make addressing Jason Blaha. The dude is delusional beyond belief. Jason, I am not hiring anybody to take you out. I didn't hire anybody to go after you. You did that yourself when you spread a bunch of lies about your history and everything. I mean, it's all out there for people to see. I think the rest of you guys, if you dislike Blaha, the best thing you can do is just not watch his stuff, not comment on his stuff. Like, don't give him attention. Like, it's the worst possible thing you can do.
Jason Blaha.
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 Jason Blahino. Jason Blue.
Jason Blowo.
Jason Blaha.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here.
How you doing everyone, you alright? Today we'll be creeping around the dirty little corners of YouTube fitness and taking a look at Jason Blaha, who is a surprisingly wacky and deep rabbit hole. Jason's prime has long passed and I'm guessing that most people have forgotten he even exists, but since his fall from grace he has still been up to crazy shenanigans. So if you're new to his story or you haven't been following for the last few years, buckle up, you're in for a wild ride. Jason Dwayne Blaha was born in 1976 near Houston, Texas, to a fairly wealthy family. I'm not going to go into too much detail about his childhood for reasons that will become apparent as the video goes on. There are a few things that we know for sure from his young adult life, such as he was arrested for illegal possession of a handgun and got a few days in jail, a $400 fine and 80 hours community service for this crime. Jason would claim that during his arrest he disarmed a police officer then kicked him in the chest, breaking his ribs through his body armor. As we will see as the story goes on, Jason may not be the most reliable source of information, and the arrest report shows that he was actually very timid and shy during the arrest. Jason started to lift weights in the early 2000s and used performance-enhancing substances to hit his physical peak in this time period. Sadly for Jason, his arms have been an ongoing struggle for him, and he would have surgery on his left arm which made it difficult for him to build muscle on that part of his body. Some people on the internet speculate that he used synthol on his bicep, which is why he needed surgery, but Jason denies this, saying that it was a bicep tear. Jason seems to have been a very online person as a young man and would post things on forums such as Elite Fitness and Bodybuilding.com, claiming to be a world-class weightlifter and bragging about how good he was with the ladies. Jason would write some pretty weird things on these forums, such as bragging about doing not very nice things to a cat, kidnapping a duck from a park, and claiming that he finds underage girls attractive. Now Jason writes and says some outlandish stuff on the internet, most of which people don't believe. So just because these things paint him in a bad light doesn't mean that we should believe him on these claims and not the other ones. But who knows what the truth is? That's the problem with lying so much, I guess. Anyway, apparently he would also make many fake accounts that he would use on these forums. Some of these accounts were women, and he would receive indecent images from men using these accounts. Jason was banned from one of these forums for sending unsolicited indecent images of himself to women. This part is a bit more speculative, so take it with a pinch of salt, but I find it kind of funny, so I thought I'd include it. So there is a group in America that has 3 Ks in its name and dress up like ghosts. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, someone who is suspected to be Jason wrote a charming little story on their website, which amongst other things talks about dirty fantasies involving his mother. As I say, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but people that study Jason tell me that they think this is him due to a certain way that he writes, and very particular spelling mistakes which appear in all of his writings. Mr. Blaha was also a gamer who played RuneScape, but was sadly kicked out of his guild for stealing stuff. Back to his internet activity, he would meet his first wife on a bodybuilding forum, and they would get married shortly afterwards. She must have been impressed by Jason's special photos. Unfortunately for Jason and his new wife, the newly married Mr. Blaha would come down with Meniere's disease, which causes dizziness, and this meant that Jason couldn't work, so according to his wife, she would work 12-hour shifts as a nurse, while Jason would stay at home playing video games. Then when she got home, she would do all of the housework as Jason was too dizzy to do any of this. Aw, poor little mite. Meniere's disease is a rare inner ear condition that can affect your balance and hearing. This condition is hard to prove or disprove, which leads to it being abused by people who want to claim disability benefits. Jason's first marriage, unsurprisingly, didn't last too long, and his now ex-wife would claim later that no doctor was ever able to find anything wrong with Jason, and that Jason did not very nice things to her cat and parrot. These are the words of his ex-wife though, so take them for what they're worth, I guess. After the pair broke up, Jason started to claim disability for his illness and started to use other online forums. This time he joined forums on the David Icke website. You just know things are going to get interesting when someone like Jason joins the David Icke forum. So on these forums he claims to have been mind control programmed, and when he was deprogrammed his personality is split. So now he desires to be a good person but is still hearing a little voice in his head telling him to follow his programming. He also claims to be related to royalty in England and Czechoslovakia, but sadly his family got kicked out of Czechoslovakia for practicing black magic. Jason would later take these royal black magic family members to court for ritualistically him, but sadly all of the witnesses for the case refused to testify, so the charges were dropped. He also claimed to have a family member who was an astronaut, and that unless you have the kind of powerful elite ancestry that he has, you shouldn't worry about being a hybrid lizard bloodline. Well, that's a load off my mind. He also claimed to maybe be a werewolf. I'm not making any of this up. I'd like to point out that normally the first chapter in my videos is just getting to know the person really. Nothing too crazy, just having a look at their younger days, see what made them tick. But no, in this one we're already talking about werewolves and hybrid lizard bloodlines. Anyway, Jason must have been pretty active on this website as he was made a moderator, but sadly would later get himself banned from the website. I'm not too sure what he did, but to get banned from the David Icke website is an achievement. Jason was a bit of a playboy online, and he actually met his second wife on the David Icke website. I'm not too sure this would be the first choice for me when selecting a mate, but let's see how it works out for them. This fine young lady was from England, but Jason didn't let that get in the way of true love, and the pair got married and moved to the United Kingdom. Things were looking up for this American werewolf in London. He had found his soulmate, moved to the greatest country in the world. He had started weight training again, and he would make a decision that would change his life forever. Around 2012, Jason would start a YouTube channel called Ice Cream Fitness. I found this to be an odd name for a fitness channel, but I have it on good authority that there are two reasons for this unusual sounding channel name. The first being that it is a play on words, as in I Scream Fitness. Very amusing. The second reason for this name is that Jason claims that when he was younger he was by his auntie and uncle who would give him ice cream afterwards. Not very amusing. It's unclear how true his claim is, but given a lot of the things that we'll cover later, it's hard to take Jason's claims on face value alone. Jason would give fitness advice on his channel and call out the supplement industry, taking on the big guys and talking truth to power. He would expose people telling lies and bring down the scammers that infested the fitness industry. Jason was well liked in his time period, and Ice Cream Fitness grew to be one of the biggest fitness channels on YouTube at the time. This was probably the peak of Jason's genuine popularity, and he was riding high, but the cracks would start to appear. He decided to do a GoFundMe so that he could buy a new car. He would raise thousands of dollars, then tell people that this was just a publicity stunt and that he didn't actually need the money. He didn't refund the money. Jason's recipe for success was really based on starting drama, so he started to lean into this more and more. Call out video after call out video, getting his fans to attack people online that Jason had taken a disliking to. This would go on for a while until Jason's gaze fell upon Lane Norton, who is a fitness YouTuber. Blaha would claim that Lane's physique was not natural and set his fans on Lane's social media, with many mean comments being left. Lane would ask for a public apology, but instead Jason stepped up the attack. The pair would go back and forth about this until 2013, when Lane took legal action against Jason. Defendant Blaha had claimed that Lane's research was untrustworthy as he was funded by supplement companies. Jason would claim that he would destroy Lane in court and did a fundraiser for the costs of his legal team, but when the court date arrived, he didn't show up. He didn't refund the money. The court awarded the win to Lane. Sadly for Mr. Norton, Jason was on disability benefits in England, so he had no money for Lane to take. And the legal costs for this action actually added up to a fair amount that Lane would have to pay out. But he had won a symbolic victory, and this seems to have been a turning point for Jason. Many people would side with Lane in this dispute, and he had won the court case, so this started to unravel Jason's reputation. Lane would then claim that Jason sent him a threatening email, which Jason denied. It was then pointed out to Jason that the email had come from his email address. So Mr. Blaha claimed that it was someone using a fake account. He then blamed hackers, and then he blamed his wife. Nice. Unsurprisingly, Jason and his wife split up and he moved back to the USA, claiming that he moved all of his assets out of England before the court case. Jason moved in with his sister and the Ice Cream Fitness channel was closed down. I'm a little unsure why this channel was deactivated, as I've seen conflicting reports. Some say his ex-wife had the login details for the channel, while others say that it was closed for legal reasons. I'm not too sure which is true. What we do know is that Jason set up a new YouTube channel called Juggernaut Fitness TV, which would later become Jason Blaha's Strength and Fitness.
Hey everybody, I just want to announce the opening of a new channel. This is Juggernaut Fitness TV, and I am your host, Jason Blaha.
The incident with Lane had lost Jason a lot of goodwill in the fitness community, but he still had many real fans, so his new channel grew fast. But he had for sure been tainted by this point. His second ex-wife would later claim that Jason's parents wouldn't trust him alone in the house as he would steal things, and that he would spend up to 10 hours a day playing World of Warcraft. On a side note, Jason had a YouTube channel called The Cardio Gamer, on which he would play World of Warcraft while riding an exercise bike, and not putting himself on mute when he goes for a wee.
Had a nice good pee real quick, and I'm good for the rest of this session, I hope.
A weird detail that I noticed is that Jason has a cuddly toy of Bagpuss that appears in a lot of his videos. Bagpuss was a British children's TV series in the 1970s. I have no idea why this is a thing, but it's a thing. He would even take this toy to bodybuilding expos for some reason.
Yeah, I just walk up to him and I'd be like, hey shorty, let me holler at you right quick, you know what I'm saying? You looking pretty good over there, you know what I'm saying? Why don't we go back to my place, get comfortable, know what I'm saying? Sip on some of this Henny, know what I'm saying? And then maybe we can do the grown up and let me clap on them cheeks, you hear me? You gotta say that swag, holler back, youngin'.
Jason was now hooked on drama and his channel had become known for this. In the real world, Jason was proving to be quite a Casanova, and he got himself a new girlfriend named Moon Cookie. This fine young lady was an ex-stripper and convicted meth dealer, so Jason did the only logical thing you can do when you find yourself a catch like this, and he moved in with her. Jason would then start to drop hints in his videos about his clandestine past, a top secret, shadowy previous existence that he is obliged not to talk about, apart from telling everyone on YouTube, I guess. But before we get into that, I thought we'd take a break from the timeline to look at some of the claims that Jason has made over the years. Now, bear in mind that there is no way to prove or disprove these claims, so I'll just present them in an unbiased way and let you make your own mind up. So, where to start is the question. He has made many bold claims over the years, like he has an IQ of 147, or he once won an eating contest in high school by eating 13 large pizzas in under 2 hours. He claims to have been a male model, a former street racer. He has run in marathons, got a near perfect score in his SATs in school, has 2 black belts in martial arts, but did later admit that this wasn't true. He has never been dumped by a girlfriend. He was a champion target shooter. In his younger days, he ran a steroid lab. He got under 5% body fat, but sadly all of the photos for this burned in a fire. Oh dear, what a shame. One of the most well-known claims that Jason has made is that he is not bald, but just shaves his head because he likes it. This went on for many years with people trolling him for being bald and him claiming that he was not bald, but he wishes that he was, so he didn't need to shave his head anymore. Long story short, in a shocking twist, Jason actually is bald and baldness runs in his family. Jason made a video to admit this, so fair enough, at least he came clean in the end, I guess. Back on the David Icke forums, Jason claims to have reptilian blood and was actually one of the overlords, but he doesn't want this power, so now he is on the side of the good guys. On this site, he also claims to have psychic abilities due to him being experimented on as a child. Later on, when Jason became well known on YouTube and people found this out, Jason claimed that he was in fact working with a publishing company who had asked him to go online and write stories in order to help them sell books, which is why he wrote this stuff. So instead of Jason being a liar, he is now a paid fiction writer who writes stories on the internet, on the forums of David Icke, which was his job and a company paid him for this. On a side note, he blamed the incompetent publishing company for not protecting his identity and allowing the trolls to find out it was him. On his David Icke profile, he had a photo of himself, his name and a link to his website. Jason claims to be 50% deaf, born with a congenital heart defect, and that he is really lactose intolerant.
I myself carry a legal disability status according to the US government of 100% disabled. I'm not supposed to be walking without a cane. I'm not supposed to be standing without a cane. I'm not supposed to be training as heavy as I do, and you guys see what I do. I am medically forbidden from doing some of the things that I do.
He likes to brag about all of the women that he has had, including many of them at the same time. He likes to tell stories about all of the fights that he has had, which you can no doubt guess involve multiple opponents and him always coming out on top. His father is a self-made millionaire who is an ex-Green Beret Vietnam vet, and Jason has worked as a bouncer and on an oil rig. Now maybe some or all of these claims are true, or maybe they're lies, I honestly don't know. But either way they're interesting, so let's get back to the story. Around 2015, Jason would start to talk about him being recruited at the age of 17 to be a Black Ops mercenary due to him being a champion target shooter in his younger days. In the past, Jason has also talked about the fact that he was obese until the age of 19. But if you follow his training program, you too can lose weight just like him. So while working as an obese soldier of fortune, Jason claims that he would take on cartels in Central America and do unspeakable things to terrorists in the Middle East. He claims to have sniped a terrorist off the back of a donkey and terrorists to pigs. Blaha claims to have been trained in the farm in Langley, which is a CIA training camp, and that the money wasn't that great, but he was paid in hardware and experience, which is worth more than money. He also stated that while working for the intelligence agency, he was fired due to his PTSD, which made him crack under the pressure. When he left, he was ordered not to talk about any of his work, which didn't go too well, as he talked about it a lot but avoided going into details due to the non-disclosure agreement. It didn't take long for people to start questioning Jason's bold claims, but Blaha would stick to his guns and dismiss any criticism as a work of jealous haters.
I was scouted out for certain types of work before I even finished high school. Again, due to my family, my upbringing, connections certain members of my families might have had, along with my shooting skills. Again, I was shooting very successfully at 1,000 yards as a teenager, well before I was an adult. We'll call it a hunter. I was a hunter of exotic game, if that will make you guys feel better. I've stated I worked as a mercenary and as a private military contractor. Now what that means, you guys can draw your own conclusions. It's not something I'm necessarily proud of. It's not something I brag about. I actually know something about advanced interrogation techniques. I used to do snatch and grabs and interrogate people out in the field as a contractor years ago. Yes, I have a classified background. Yes, I have non-disclosure agreements. So technically anything that anyone finds about me, if they get a hold of it, it's illegal for them to have it. If they spread it around, they're guilty of espionage.
The seeds of deceit that Jason had planted over his whole life were about to bloom into YouTube fitness legend. With this time period being what Jason is most famous for, a group of people formed that were focused on disproving his claims, so they got to work digging up everything they could about Jason. Around this time, Jason really stepped up his attacks on other YouTubers and was engulfed in back and forth feuds. He also started to say outrageous things like the USA should nuke Saudi Arabia. Jason had now become a drama tuber and was addicted to the easy clicks, but he would soon find out that what is easy is not always the best path to walk. Many veterans started to accuse him of stolen valor, so Jason let them know that he was stockpiling weapons just in case they tried anything. As time went by, more and more people could see through Jason's lies and he started to lose subscribers. But as luck would have it, one of his old military friends called Coppertop22 would stumble across the unfolding stolen valor drama and confirm to the world that Jason is in fact telling the truth, and that he even had a cute little nickname in the mercenaries, Hemingway.
I was on Popular Military, and a Stolen Valor article kind of drew my attention to this guy named Jason Blaha. After watching one of his YouTube videos where he's holding an AR-10 with a big grin on his face, I realized exactly who it was, because he was always so fond of the 308. That's our boy Hemingway. I just think it's strange It's a false claim of stolen valor, and we have to be careful about that. Anyway, this is Copper Top 22. Hope I helped.
This video is difficult to draw any conclusions from due to the masterful use of voice distortion and swirly face effects used by the well-trained Black Ops espionage experts. A very short time after the video was released, people on the internet just reversed the swirly face effect and cross-referenced the face with Jason's girlfriend's Facebook account to find that this man was one of her friends and not in fact a mercenary at all. Shocking. After this revelation, Jason changed tactics and went all out on doing copyright and community guideline strikes on people making videos about him, and deleted all comments on his videos of people talking about what was going on. Our boy Hemingway even got people's YouTube channels banned in an attempt to cover his tracks. But sadly, the cat was out of the bag and Jason had many eyes on him, picking apart everything that he had ever said and done on the internet. People would start to talk about the bad firearm advice that he was giving to people, bad weightlifting advice, all the lies that he has told, and his stolen valor. Jason posted a video with a black eye in which he claims to have defended a woman's honour and got sucker punched. But rumours started to go around that he in fact got beaten up in the streets by a veteran. Jason now had a lot of ill will aimed at him and he would become a bit of a meme. The trolling of Blaha at this stage was now getting out of hand and moving into the real world, but we'll take a look at the trolling in its own chapter a little later on. Our boy Hemingway would cover lies with other lies, leading to his claims becoming more and more outlandish. He was going through a phase of not uploading any workout videos but instead sitting at a table loading ammo and talking, so people started to think that maybe he had broken his back and was actually in a wheelchair, but this was not the case. The next thing of note is when Jason and Moon Cookie would start to appear on a right-wing television show called Tommy's Garage. They would appear in the audience having a fun time and Moon Cookie would dance around a bit. Things seemed to be going well on this TV show until people started to contact Tommy's Garage and its sponsors to inform them of Moon Cookie's past and Jason's stolen valor, so the pair were asked not to return. Jason claims that he stopped going as he got bored of the show. The trolls were now out for Jason and he couldn't move without them tracking him and ruining his plans. This all got too much for Jason to bear, with the last straw coming when a weightlifting meetup got cancelled due to trolls, so he would make a video to address the stolen valor and hopefully put an end to this chapter of his life. In this video he claims that he was just trolling all along. It was all just one big joke and he never actually claimed to be in the military, implying that mercenaries are not actually part of the military. He would then go on to say that it was everyone else's fault for picking up things that he didn't say and twisting them into him being in the military. He would then remove all of the videos where he spoke about being a mercenary in the hopes that this would cover his tracks. The mercenary lie went on for over 4 years before he told the truth.
Rumors all over the internet as to which branch I supposedly claimed to have been in. I didn't. I actually specifically said I have never served in the military and there's no record existing of me having served in any military anywhere on earth. Right? Very clearly said that, but that kind of gets missed in the whole legend, doesn't it? With the way people spin this stuff around. That it forced people to fill in the blanks, and people have created this enormous legend that they just joke and troll about based upon my original trolling, and I'll get to how you guys should be able to determine it was trolling. Like, I had no idea people would spin it in the direction of veterans or the military. I actually had no clue. Hell, let me run with it. This will be fun. You know, it didn't turn out to be so fun. All things considered, I've got a lot of death threats. We've had bomb scares, bomb squad, stuff like that. But, you know, that aside, and also, for those who want to say this channel is going downhill, Jason's doing stuff he didn't used to do, this controversy. Actually, I kind of did tons of controversy even before I had 5,000 subscribers. That's kind of how I got popular to begin with.
Jason had done his best to scrub his past misdeeds from the internet, deleting videos, abusing the copyright and community guidelines system to remove videos or get channels banned, and this seems to have been pretty successful, a little too successful maybe. After all, attention is the currency of the internet. Blaha had burnt all of the bridges that crossed the abyss of irrelevance, so he plunged down into the void of obscure fitness lolcow, landing at the bottom to be picked over by the worm worms and weird fishes. Most people soon forgot about Jason Blaha. His once fans were checking out in droves, and the people that just paid attention to the fake Merc arc were soon bored and moved on. But some people were still paying attention. Jason had done his best to scrub the internet, but he couldn't scrub people's memories, and he still had some bodybuilders, veterans and assorted internet users who were firmly fixed on him. He was now the plaything of the trolls. To make things worse, or better I guess depending on how you look at it, Moon Cookie had left him, plus Jason had hidden his subscriber count to try and mask his decline. Jason was now but a faint memory, the relic of a bygone age, scratching around in the shadows waiting for the right time to make his triumphant return. In 2020 he would start to rebuild his online brand and opened up a fitness coaching business. From what I can tell, this mostly seems to get customers from his early days of ice cream fitness, which still has links on the internet. The next thing of note is when his dog died. Jason would claim that one of his trolls broke into his house and poisoned the dog called Nova, but others have claimed that it was Jason's neglect that caused the dog's untimely demise. We will look at this in a little more detail later on. Jason would soon be back to his old ways of making bold claims such as owning multiple properties and taking multiple holidays abroad each year. Skip forward to 2021 and it was discovered that Jason had got himself a new girlfriend. Kind of. He was trying to woo an Australian woman named Ruby Cherry. Classy. Almost as classy as Moon Cookie. I'm seeing a bit of a pattern here. The pair had been talking online for a few weeks when one of his trolls called Section 8 Fitness befriended this lady by pretending that he was the uncle of one of Jason's ex-girlfriends. After much back and forth between these two, Section 8 Fitness would inform her of all of the things that Jason had been up to in the past. So she started to give him information about their relationship. She would share voicemail messages that Jason left her, most of which are him talking about how much he has sacrificed to gain his success, mastering time management to build his coaching career over and over and over again. There was one voice message that wasn't this. In this message it would appear that he had been trying to get her to move to the USA, but she was resistant to this idea, which is fair enough, it is moving a bit fast to be fair. So he left her a message claiming that he makes over 150,000 Australian dollars a year, which was more than enough to look after her and her parents if she moved over. Needless to say that Miss Cherry didn't move over to be with Jason, but she did give Section 8 Fitness some photos of Jason's ex-girlfriend. Mr. Fitness is a dedicated sleuth of all things Blaha, so he set about looking through more than 4,000 profiles until he found this lady who is named Jen. Jen is a 50-year-old lady who Jason would fly out to meet up with in Chicago a few times a year. It appears that Jason cheated on Jen with Ruby, so she wasn't best pleased with our boy Hemingway and started to spill the beans on their relationship. I'm sure that YouTube wouldn't like me to go into the details that she shared, but there's some pretty degenerate stuff that she revealed. One thing she said is that she asked him to gargle vinegar because his breath was very bad. Jen also stated that when Jason was visiting her, his dog Nova got sick, but he didn't care and just threw the body in the trash when he got home. Now this is coming from an angry ex-girlfriend, so take it with a pinch of salt, and I'll point out that Jason denies these claims. Blaha's life was now being ruled by the trolls. They were breaking up his relationships, digging up things from his past, and they were pretty much the only people giving Jason attention on the internet at this point. So let's take another break from the timeline and check out some of the antics that Jason's trolls have gotten up to over the years. A big part of Jason's story is the trolling and his reaction to it over the years. New generations of trolls seem to take over, one passing the torch to the next in the Blaha games. Jason has attracted many trolls over the years, with the main ones that I could find at least being Section 8 Fitness, who does lots of phone calls and seems to be a pretty good internet researcher really. Natural Hypertrophy, sorry if I mispronounced that, who does lots of roast videos about Jason. Veg Getter, sorry if I mispronounced that, who seems to be the one digging up all the stuff from his old forum days. VKVDM, who is an OG Jason troll and has a channel on Rumble roasting Jason, and Shadow Man, who does little impressions of Jason.
Hey everybody, it's blah 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 here.
So So let's take a quick look at some of the things that trolls have been up to over the years. These are in no particular order. Trolls put Jason's address on Craigslist offering adult services to men, so his house was swarmed with men looking for a good time. Blaha claims that 40 men turned up to his house and he took all of their IDs at gunpoint and gave these IDs to the police. Now, as we have learned, it's hard to take Jason's claims on face value, but we do know that he did this to at least one person as he recorded it and uploaded it to the internet. Honestly, I feel sorry for this poor guy. He has no clue what's going on and is confronted by someone armed with an AR-15 who demands his ID. Another one in a similar vein is a time that trolls told Jason that they wanted to meet him. So Jason and Moon Cookie roamed the streets armed with an AR-15 and a case in a bulletproof vest. While they were hunting for these trolls, Moon Cookie was meowing like a cat for some reason. The pair went home, then returned again to the streets hunting trolls armed with a pistol, but luckily the trolls never appeared. Jason was later evicted from his home for this.
I didn't even come out with a rifle. Look, I don't have a rifle. All I have is a pistol. Where's this? What's he scared of? He's got a pistol. He's got a pistol. He showed it. That's all I got. I got a pistol, and I didn't put my armor back on. I didn't put a rifle on.
Trolls have done interviews with his ex-wife and his father, his dad confirming that Jason wasn't in the military.
He was a laborer.
So it was building work as opposed to soldier or mercenary work.
What kind of work?
Well, in the video we were sent, he claims to have been a mercenary, as in a
Mercenary?
A mercenary, yeah, private security, as in performing.
No. He was working on compressors and engines.
So he was never intelligence.
Manual labor.
Oh, I see, okay.
This wasn't all bad though, as Jason had been disavowed by his family, but the trolls brought them back together after years apart. Heartwarming stuff. Trolls have catfished him, contacted events to get him cancelled, called his neighbours pretending to be a reporter who was writing a story about Blaha due to him running a steroid lab from his home, and played his life in every way you could possibly imagine. VKVDM challenged Jason to an MMA match which Jason didn't accept, and I think Jason got VK's YouTube channel deleted over this. It's a little hard for me to tell, but I think that's what happened.
This is just a simple challenge that I'm issuing to Jason Blaha. So there's no roasting, there's no silly things like that. It's just a simple challenge from one martial artist to another, where you can choose the rules. Yeah, you can choose the rules. Anything you want to do, mate, we can do.
Jason does bring a lot of this stuff on himself though, sadly, with his business model on YouTube being call-out videos and drama, which then attracts much negative attention. He has had many disagreements over the years with people on the internet. Far too much for me to list in this video, but let's look at two cases that I found interesting. Jason Genova and Jason Blaha have had some kind of ongoing feud over the years, with Genova calling multiple Order 66s on Blaha.
This is Jason Genova. I'm sorry that Princess Leia died. Carrie Fisher died at age 60 a couple days ago. May the force be with her, and so is Debbie Reynolds. And Order 66, that Jason Blaha kid. Jason Blaha is getting Order 66. Attack him. Order 66, Jason Blaha, for being the most sack-a-pile in the bodybuilding community. He doesn't look that great. Order 66, Jason Blaha, for looking terrible in the body. His physique looks like big bagel rolls. Jason Blaha is getting called out. Order 66. Order 66, Jason Blaha. That Blaha guy I hate. Most people hate Jason Blaha. Order 66, Jason Blaha. Jason Blaha is getting Order 66. Blowho. Order 66, Jason Blowho.
Blaha has also done a pretty funny impression of Jason Genova.
I'm calling Order 66 on Jason Blaha. I'm calling Order 66 on Rich Piano because I don't like him and he's got funny arms. Order 66. Peace out, bye.
From what I can tell, this started when Blaha insulted Jay Masters of the Delray Misfits when he injured himself while lifting weights. Blaha also threatened Rich Piana when he slapped Jason Genova, stating that he would put holes in Rich if he ever tried anything like that with him. As far as I know, Blaha is the only person to ever get a permanent Order 66, which is still in force to this day. Then we have Vegan Gains.
Jason Blaha is the biggest cowardly pussycat in all of YouTube Fitness,
who had an ongoing feud with Jason. I'm not too sure how this started, but I'm guessing that Jason did a call out video on Mr. Gains. The pair have gone back and forth making videos about each other, with Jason mocking Vegan Gains after he injured himself while lifting weights. Mr. Gains, whose real name is Richard, has offered to debate Jason, but Blaha stated that he wouldn't do this unless he got paid $5,000 due to him having higher view counts than Richard. Then he made a video stating that Vegan Gains couldn't hang with him in any way. So Richard made a video offering Jason an MMA match, which is Vegan Gains' kind of go-to thing, I guess.
You could beat me and everything, then why don't we settle this in a cage, huh? Why don't we have an MMA match? I've saved up plenty of air miles on my credit card. I could fly out to Texas, no problem. We can find an MMA gym and have a nice clean fight. That's not a threat, by the way, Jason, so calm down. I know you get scared and threatened really easily, but all I'm doing is challenging you to a martial arts competition, okay? You can accept or decline, okay? It's just a challenge.
Jason was really up for this match, but sadly couldn't do it unless he was paid $100,000.
Have you ever snowballed a girl, Coach? I'm not going to go into all my various exploits. No, I've never actually done shark fishing. We've done not really fishing. We did messed up stuff, the sharks out on the platform when I worked in natural gas. Sorry.
So, back to the story. In 2022, Jason moved house, and shortly afterwards the trolls found out his address and doxed him. Jason had become somewhat of a self-help guru at this stage, and would talk about how if you wanted to be successful like him, you should cut out unsuccessful people from your life. This message was undermined a bit when people started to hear vomiting in the background of his live streams. Jason was apparently living alone, so what was this mysterious apparition haunting his live streams, and why was it so sickly? The trolls got to work and soon unravelled the curious goings-on at the Blaha household. Johnny Sablatora, sorry if I mispronounced that, was charged with murdering her boyfriend, but given bail and now lives with Jason while awaiting trial.
Breaking news this morning, a woman has claimed self-defense in her boyfriend's shooting. But she's now charged in his death.
Yeah, we first brought you this breaking news last night when deputies were still digging into what had happened. We want to join Channel 2's Vincent Crivelli now with more. Vincent, so can you tell us what the woman is charged with?
Amy, 43-year-old Joni Sablatora is now charged with murder. Authorities did not buy her claim of self-defense.
There is speculation online that Jason lives in government-assisted housing, which is why he now finds himself with this interesting roommate. When people question Jason about this, he seems very sheepish about answering, and looks a little scared about saying the wrong thing, which is understandable, I guess. By all accounts, she is a pretty erratic character. While this was going on, Jason would still get up to his old tricks and create drama on YouTube. But things were a little different for him now, as most of his true fans had moved on, so the backlash that he would get was overwhelming, so he decided to take a break from live streaming. Jason slowly faded away into the lost memories of the internet, and his trolls moved on to new pastures. Jason had finally shaken off the bane of his life, and was free from the trolls, so he decided to do the only logical thing and start live streaming again. Of course, it didn't take his trolls long to return, with one of his trolls knocking on his door and Blaha pulling a gun on him. Something to notice about this story is that Jason goes through weird little phases, like the bagpuss doll or being a mercenary, or he went through a phase of eating bison and rice. He also went through a phase of being a left-wing vegan who was a member of Greenpeace. Then a few years later, he was a right-wing steak-eating Texan gun lover. Well, now he is a guitar-playing cowboy and has brought some pretty expensive guitars and equipment for this phase. On that note, one thing I wondered is how can he afford all of these weights and guitars and stuff? Maybe it's all an act, but Jason doesn't strike me as a poor person, but his YouTube channel is pretty much died now. He uploads 2 or 3 videos a day which get a few hundred views each. This really wouldn't pay very much at all, and he doesn't work. Some people have claimed that he gets government benefits, but Jason denies this, and his guitar equipment alone would be more than what government benefits would be able to pay for, I would guess. So I can only assume that he makes his money from coaching. One of his trolls called him once to see how much he charges for his coaching, and Jason stated $300 a month, but he eventually dropped the price to $180 a month. We know that he does have some clients. A rough estimate would be about 7, so if you do the maths on this, I guess this is where he gets most of his income. Then the question becomes, who are his clients and who are the fans that still follow his channel? Undoubtedly a lot of the views come from trolls, but he does still seem to have some real fans as well. Let me tell you the tale of Mark Steebing. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Mark is a fairly well-known person in the fitness circles, mostly for his unorthodox way of working out, like bouncing the bar off his chest and slamming down the weights. Mark was a very big fan of Jason, some have said obsessed, and he wanted to meet up with Jason in real life. Mark is a very large man, being about 6 foot 4 inches tall and about 300 pounds, so Jason was rightfully not too keen on this idea, but Mark just wouldn't take no for an answer. So Jason blocked him, then called his mum to try and get Mark to leave him alone. Apparently Mark's mother had died at this point, which has led some to speculate that it was actually Mark pretending to be his mother. Mark's name is now Crystal.
And, you know, people like me, I have a nice heart, and I'm caring, I'm humble, and I have feelings, you know, and I want everybody out there to achieve your dream.
Jason Blaha is still very active on his channel, posting a few videos a day and doing an hour-long live stream every day. He now seems to have moved away from the drama side of YouTube and posts about fitness topics, or things that he is doing with his clients. His channel is certainly only a fraction of its former glory, not getting anywhere the amount of views that you would expect from a channel with 114,000 subscribers. There are rumours that he paid for a lot of these subscribers, as he removed his subscriber count from his profile. Then when it returned, he had a lot more than before. I'm unsure how true this is, but it would explain the lack of views for such a high subscriber count. I'd like to give a massive thank you to VegGetter's fitness channel. Sorry if I mispronounced that. He helped me with much of this video. Jason has over 13,000 videos on his channel, so building an accurate timeline would have been pretty much impossible if it wasn't for VegGetter's help, so thanks a lot for that, mate. He has a Jason Blaha iceberg video on his channel, which I will link in the description. He goes into a lot more detail on the more degenerate stuff that I glossed over due to YouTube's advertiser policies, so go and check that out. To me, this story conjures up the question of what goes on in someone's head when they're lying about being a werewolf or a mercenary, or is this even a lie to that person at the time? Do they on some level believe the things that they are saying, or convince themselves after the fact that this is true? As far as I can tell, we all lie to ourselves all the time, so is this just an extreme example of the delusions that we all labour under? I have a weird theory that the reason that everything these days is soaked in irony or post-irony is because the modern world forces us to lie to ourselves just to get by. We must pretend that we don't notice things that our eyes clearly see, or pretend that the modern lifestyle is perfectly natural, and if you disagree then you're the problem and you must be medicated out of your wrong thinking. In this environment, nothing can ever be sincere, as to be sincere is to risk confronting the lies that we must all abide by, so the true feelings of sincerity must always be undercut by ironic mocking or subversive jokes, followed by the feeling of nihilistic superiority. These are just the thoughts that I had while making this video, and a comment left by someone on one of my other videos that really made me think. I'm unsure how correct this idea is, but I sense there's at least something in there. So what do I think about Jason Blaha? I kind of feel sorry for him, to be honest. It seems like a lot of hassle to tell such outrageous lies, and not a very good foundation to build your life upon, but it's hard to have too much sympathy for someone who is the architect of their own suffering. Jason has constructed the prison in which he lives, so let's hope that he finds happiness within those 4 walls, and that he gets himself a new roommate. Watch this video about Jason Genova and the Del Rey Misfits. If you're unsure what an Order 66 is, then this video will explain it for you. A big thanks to the channel members and the Patreons, and bye bye.
Non-negotiable.